now joined by Jackie Midlane of Norton Rose Fulbright. Jackie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.
Jackie, we're on to the third day of the conference. What are your impressions thus far?
Well, I must say, it's firstly, it's in a beautiful setting, but I think the whole theme of what's coming through is that everybody is cautiously optimistic. So I think that everybody is aware of certain issues on policy certainty, regulatory issues, but there's an upbeatness, you know. I think it's people are positive, but at the same time cautiously wanting to see what the developments are going to be from a government perspective. So that the private sector and the banks and the advisors can effectively make things happen. But it is certainly a far more upbeat, people are, I think, excited about what the developments, and especially it being 20 years since Africa Energy Forum, but there's an optimism, you know, cautiously so, but certainly far more optimistic than I think in the last 2 years that I've attended.
Take us through some of the work that Norton Rose Fulbright does.
Thank you. So Norton Rose Fulbright is a global law firm. We have 55 offices globally. On the continent we have offices in Morocco. We have offices in South Africa, based in Johannesburg, Cape Town and Durban. Offices in Tanzania on the east side, and we have various alliances that we do. And we have a strong presence. Have been doing power work for the last 20 years and know the Africa continent exceptionally well, from renewables to gas, upstream, downstream. So we are significant, you know, we're a significant player in the market, and certainly Africa is our backyard, and we know the space very, very well.
Let's look at regional integration. That's one of the key themes that have come out of many of the discussions that we've seen through the 3 days.
Exactly, and I think, you know, what we've seen over the years is, as we kind of get involved in advisory work, both on the government side, developments and financial institutions, is that it's all good and well to focus on one project, but Africa takes a while. And effectively what they're saying, and what we're seeing, is that if you can in fact benefit jurisdictions across the regions, that effectively delivers in so much more than simply focusing on one particular project. So time and time again we're hearing the coming together of both a government and a private sector to try and just move things along and learn from what they've done before, to effectively integrate and benefit the regions, you know, across Africa. So from a sub-Saharan perspective, we're seeing a lot of activity in Zimbabwe, but for example, we're just looking at the whole regional. If you can actually just integrate the sub-Saharan part of it, not to mention on the east side, you will then start seeing that there is benefit in effectively delivering in on a regionally integrated basis, because you don't have to then repeat the same thing and take the same amount of time. So certainly I think that lessons learned and looking forward is that the jurisdictions can benefit from an integration of delivering in on power, on transmission lines, on projects, so that it just doesn't take that long, because the need is today and not for something to be delivered in 10 years' time. And hopefully that will come through on all levels, you know, from a government perspective, the private sector, the advisory, where there's a standardization of certain things, so that effectively the regions benefit from it. And that it doesn't get repeated, you know, every 5 years or 10 years, so that you get the benefit of what's been learnt and everybody gets the benefit, so it just happens faster. So certainly that's one of the themes we've seen as advisors, that it will just be more cost efficient, and the whole country, you know, the whole continent benefits. So certainly we've definitely seen that happening as well.
Now, Jackie, the Africa Energy Forum has been in existence for 20 years.
Yes.
What are some of the outcomes that you're hoping for at the end of the specific one?
Oh, certainly. So I think the outcome of this is that what we see is not necessarily a renewed hope, but just an invigoration of, in actual fact, being able to convert what we often talk about, because often what people do is there's talk about talking about talking. We'd very much like to see that there is the conversion of at the end of this particular conference, is the conversion of what we're saying into things happening a lot quicker. And obviously, you know, it's all good and well to say it, but there's a lot of things that need to be done. But I think what we'd like to see is a take home, that there's a renewed energy, that there's an optimism, and that in fact we are able to do things, you know, in particular from a South African perspective. You know, we have our department represented here. We would like to see that we waited a very long time in South Africa. We'd like to see that actually convert. financial investors, and investment needs to happen into South Africa. Everybody's very keen. So I think what we'd like to take away from here is very much a can-do attitude, and that we start seeing conversion, so that next time when we sit here in a year's time, we in actual fact have got a good story to tell, or continue the good stories of actual conversions. And I think that would just give renewed optimism, not only to the communities and the investment community as a whole, but just everybody that kind of, the person who doesn't have electricity in a small town. So I think what I'd like to walk away, and we have walked away already, with just that optimistic view that things are going to convert.
Jackie, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.